Good evening, you two. Brian here, Politics with Heart. Sorry, it's been a while since I've rapped at you, but a lot going on in the political world, a lot going on in the media world, a lot of baiting, a lot of division, a lot of things to discuss. So, one thing that really stuck out to me, according to the Economic Intelligence Index, the U.S. has actually now been downgraded from a full democracy to a flawed democracy. I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier. Apparently, a full democracy is a place where people have trust in the government, people have trust in the media, people have trust in the courts. I think that people are largely skeptical of all of those governing bodies at this point. Flawed democracies, apparently we have fair elections, but very low political participation, something that definitely applies to the U.S., and people just don't have faith in the government largely. And this is certainly an epidemic that strikes our nation now more than it probably ever has. So what are some of the causes for this? Oh, actually, you know what? I can't help but be, unsurprised by the timing of this. Of course, a new administration, populist election. Trump is president now. Oh, and we're running the story at the beginning of his administration. We could have run this at any point during the Obama administration. George W., obviously. Clinton, George H.W., any of those guys, that would have worked. I mean, all the same things would have applied. But, now is the time. Now that, people are more divided than ever. Not surprised, corporate media for you. Okay, anyway, this is not something that happened overnight. Obviously, I would think that you could start with the Vietnam War. A lot of people started to lose faith in the government at that point. Then, of course, you have the Iraq War, the continuous war on terror God knows. I hope it ends sometime soon. Terror, what even is that anymore? Like, do we understand what that is? It seems to shift from one day to the next. And then the Great Recession of 2008. These are all factors. These are all factors that would go into the U.S. being downgraded, the U.S. democracy or the democratic institution here in the U.S. being questioned. It's a compilation of things. And one of the things that I like to point out is how about the dynastic political families that reside like royalty here in the U.S. The Bush family, the Clinton family, the sitting members of Congress who have been there for decades. Things get worse and they continue ruling. They continue perpetuating their own wealth and their own privilege while the majority of American citizens suffer. I think that would also make people lose faith in the government. And the Obama administration, we just had 8 years. A lot of people, including myself, had high hopes for President Obama. We wanted to see him do great things. He came in, he was campaigning on a platform of hope and change. A lot of people believed in him. He was elected twice by a good majority both times. But I think that most people agree that it was certainly a letdown. In 2008, Obama was campaigning on hope and change and ending the Bush wars, which is something that everyone was ready for. I was in the military at the time. I agreed with serving my country. I did not agree with the war itself. I didn't think that it was a good thing to get involved with from the beginning. But he didn't end it. He expanded them. Now we have a huge mess in Syria and Libya. Not good. Not good at all. Not at all coming through on that promise. And then, of course, Democrats in general, they're supposed to be the party of the working person, right? The union worker. Not lately. Okay, so Democrats, party of the working people. President Obama comes in, hope and change. 2008 recession just hit. What does he do? He bails out the banks to the tune of, God even knows, the numbers are so astronomical. I've seen as high as $20 trillion. $20 trillion. Understand. Okay, so the government apparently has money when they want to. He had a stimulus package where I think everybody was thrown, a couple $100 or I don't know, nothing to make any kind of lasting impact. Okay, just doing a little bit of simple arithmetic. Okay, $20 trillion. Let's say that he divided that up amongst the roughly 300 million people that live in the U.S., okay? $20 trillion divided by 300 million is $66,000 per person, okay? $266,000 for a family of four. Hmm. I think that the stimulus package could have been a little bit sweeter. I mean, what is this? Democrats rightfully critique people like Ronald Reagan, who was supply side economics or trickle down economics. I don't agree with that. That's ridiculous. It's dumb. I don't need someone else, especially a wealthy elite, managing my money and dictating to me, what I should gain economically. We can just give money to people. What's wrong with that? I mean, it's possible for you to give $20 trillion to the banks, but you can't give it to people. I don't really understand that, especially with the amount of taxes that the average person pays over their life. It's shocking, okay? It's shocking. But I think that all these factors combined, especially the media these days and how divisive they are, people don't trust the media. People don't trust government. It's not really a surprise. I think that we can reverse the trend, but not with the way the media and not with the division that people seem to be hanging on to and almost the clamoring for the status quo. Okay, so where are we headed now? Okay, there's the hotly debated immigration ban. Okay, pretty funny to me because I didn't really see any collective outrage when the Obama administration was conducting drone strikes in Libya and Syria. No one was praying in airports. No one was protesting. We didn't see Chuck Schumer with his crocodile tears none of that. No outrage by, oh, that was perfectly fine. No big deal there. Bomb and kill all you want. Oh, but put a 90-day immigration ban? Now we have a problem. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not even unprecedented. Jimmy Carter did the same thing back in the 70s towards Iran. It's not anything new. It's okay. I don't know if it's a good solution. I'm not really sure about that. I kind of have mixed feelings on it. Not sure if it's a good thing to do, but let's not pretend like foreign policy hasn't been much worse, particularly over the past 15 years. This is recent. It's going on now. Cut it out. Okay, congressional term limits are on the table. That's something else that we can get behind. But we're not hearing about that. How about lobbying reform? That was another executive action signed into law. Systemic change. DC is corrupt. I've talked about this before. I talked about this in my term limits episode. And beyond that, let's focus on that. Let's focus on change. Okay, and then there's the move to cut government regulations. Good. Let's stimulate small business. Let's stimulate economic growth and cut the bureaucratic red tape. That's a good thing. And actually, and on that, I'm really hoping that the move to really cut a lot of government waste is something that comes into play here. I mean, why do we have a Department of Homeland Security? There's so much mission overlap with so many other agencies. We can get rid of that altogether. Why do we have a CIA? Why do we have an NSA? The FBI can perform those functions just as well. There's so much administrative bloat in the government. It's no wonder why we're running a huge deficit and have $20 trillion in debt or whatever the heck it is. Nobody really seems to want to give up their paycheck at the end of the day. That's the problem. I mean, come on. All right. Well, just going back to lobbying reform, there was an executive action signed prohibiting people serving in government from lobbying in any sort of capacity for 5 years. It's certainly a step in the right direction, but I did a little research on the issue. There are loopholes that exist. Apparently, there are lobbyists operating in D.C. that aren't registering their activities, so they're kind of operating behind the scenes. There are more things that need to take place, but these are good things, folks. Let's pay attention to this stuff. The baiting, the immigration issues, the racial issues, the wedge issues, all this stuff. These things have been settled. What is the problem? I mean, outside of immigration, and Trump certainly needs to do something about the wars that are going on. Needs to think of something more than an immigration ban. That I don't know that that's a step in the right direction. It would be nice if we could talk about not arming. What do they call them? Moderate rebels. That apparently, according to Tulsi Gabbard, just don't exist. Tulsi Gabbard, a senator or a congressperson, I forgot exactly which one, out of Hawaii, a Democrat, visited Syria and reported on the fact that there are no moderate rebels in Syria. There's Assad, and there's a bunch of people working against him. Of course, we're questioning Assad, calling him a tyrant, calling him all these types of other things. We saw something similar with Gaddafi, and we saw the same thing in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. So I don't really know, but it seems like a bad precedent set for regime toppling that hasn't appeared to work out too well for us, resulting in hundreds of thousands, trillions of dollars wasted for and national security compromised more than ever. We're not any safer than we were or are or ever have been. This has made things worse. We have new threats in the world. Okay, so these things are all made up. Let's cut it out. Okay, if we want to talk to Trump about doing something, if we want to get outraged about something, let's get outraged about the fact that we need to stop killing people and bombing people overseas. Let's stop that. Let's get on that train, and let's value life, and let's value each other. That's all I have to say for now. Remember, look out for each other.